I am Big Daddy, and this is the number one sign you're about to receive everything. It's when life starts reflecting your expectations. This is what I mean. You see, in life, we all have this, you could say, framework, which is like a little box that we live in. How we see the world, our beliefs, our viewpoints. Imagine for a moment if we were all robots. We all have this kind of certain programs within us, and these programs are reflected by the way our life turns out. So if you have a program in you that causes you to be a homeless crack addict, not good. Or you might have a program in you that causes you to be a billionaire. The point is that success or failure is not random. There are specific patterns that will lead you to specific results. 1 + 1 = 2. Wow. Class is in session. Somebody just showed up. It's okay, it's just the government. Why do I say this? Because if life is not happening the way you want it to, it means that, well, your input is wrong. It doesn't matter how much you think you're doing things right, life will tell you when you are doing things right. And this might seem kind of obvious, but you'll know that all that you desire is coming to you the moment you realize that you are actually seeing reality clearly. Because what you expect to happen starts happening. But how do most of us live? Sorry, little Bodhi is out of commission today. He's taking a bath. Don't disturb him. If there's a question mark here, we're kind of just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Let's see if I can get my result this way. Is the answer 5? 5 + 1 does not equal 2. And this is the problem. Is that people's frameworks, or you could say certain brains, are either good or bad at receiving certain results. And the moment you get your brain on point, the moment you start living your life from a framework that is accurate, that is aligned with the true nature of reality, anything you want can happen. Because you're not guessing anymore. You're not just trying to randomly live your life and seeing what happens. And it's not about the latest technique of manifestation and visualization and how many positive affirmations you can say in a day. We're talking at the fundamental level. You see, for many years, I continued to fail and fail and fail. I did nothing but fail. But interestingly enough, deep down, I always understood where I was going. I always had an expectation of my life of, this is what's going to happen. The path to lead me there was completely beyond my imagination. Could not have fathomed. But the destination was still the same. I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. And so for me, life continues to reflect my expectations of what I believe is going to happen. Now, one realization I had recently. So we experience ourselves as individuals. You mind. Do you mind? And there's life God, which is just existence itself. And what happens is that when you say, I want to control my life, I'm going to force things to be the way I want it to be. You take control, and God says, go ahead. Have at it. Do as you wish. God surrenders to your will, and you have the power to do whatever you want. But if you surrender, God takes control. This is why I can have certainty of my expectations. Because first of all, I let go of my attachment to the expectations. I don't need life to be a certain way. It's just, I can see the pathway forward. Or at the very least, I can see a little bit of the destination. What I mean is that I'm not confused about God's plan for my life. It doesn't mean I know every single aspect, but I get the idea. So I'm not ever questioning whether or not what I want will happen. Because my desires and God's desires are one and the same, regardless of anything. Because if I want something and I try and take control, God says, go ahead. And if I surrender to God's will, well then I want what God wants. And so this is kind of the fun balance I like to play. And it's the most powerful thing, the most important thing for creating the life that you desire. Because if you just try to take 100% control, you can force reality to be however you want. You can manifest anything. You can be a billionaire. You can be famous. The problem is, your mind is a very limited state of consciousness. And so if you manifest something that you're not ready for, it's going to be a curse and not a blessing. This is the danger of manifestation. It's that, what do you know what's good for you? We do not know. We just want what we want and then try to bend reality to get what we want. I don't know what that was. Pouring my marker into my cup. But what happens is that once you become familiar with your power as a divine creator, once you realize you have this power, you don't necessarily need to just surrender it all to God. But you can play this game where God gives you some freedom. Go do what you want. Try it out. But there has to be this balance. It's like you becoming a little baby God, and you're using your God powers in the world. And here God is, it's like your parents, encouraging you and saying, go do this good. God is Mexican. Wow, who would have thought? So you go and do what you want, but at the same time, as a baby God, you don't really know all that much. So you surrender. And you allow God to bring forth all that you desire. And not having that needy energy, not being so attached to your desires, allows you to be open to receive them. And you see, one thing that frustrates so many people is that they're so busy trying to control their reality. And the more you try to control reality, the more you're going to be disappointed. Because if you say, I want reality to be this way, you're saying one way, but reality is infinite, meaning that there are an infinite array of possibilities. So what are the chances that reality will happen exactly the way you think? It's zero. So the more you try to force an outcome, the more you're going to be let down, the more you're going to be frustrated. And reality is not going to reflect your expectations. Because the attachment blinds you from the truth. It keeps you from clarity. And you see what happens, at least in my experience, is that when I surrender the outcome, the attachment, and I just walk the path, ideas just come to me about, well, where do I want to go moving forward? And when you can tap into this inner wisdom, not of the mind, but from somewhere deeper within you, you begin to understand that this vision is given to you by God. And if it's given to you by God, then it is certain. But if we're so attached to our mind, we can let the doubt in. Because we say, oh, I don't know if I can do this. It's too hard. But that's just because you're so focused on yourself. The ego, the mind, it's a limited state of consciousness. So when you put the burdens of the world on that, it feels very difficult. It's a struggle. There's a lot of suffering. And it's easy to just stop believing in yourself. Because if you fail and you fail and you fail, eventually you say, well, I'm going to stop trying now. Because it's like no matter what you do, reality is not meeting your expectations. And so if you were to realize that the root of the problem is within you, that the framework from which you're living your life is not accurate, and you can be like a little engineer working on your brain, tinkering around until you find the right formula. And then once life starts reflecting your expectations, you begin to receive what you desire far more easily. Now, how might we find an accurate framework from which to see the world? Because if anything, most people expect the worst. Let's say there are fools and there are free. The fools build the foundation of their life on beliefs, thoughts, ego identity, meaning they get stuck in their ways. They get attached to their stories of, this is the way the world is, this is the way that I am, nothing's going to change. They get cut off from the truth. It's like they get stuck in this little prison box. That is their ego, that is their mind. And the more one is attached to their beliefs, to their identities, the thicker these walls become, the harder it is to escape. Now, it's not wrong to have beliefs or thoughts, and it's not wrong to have an ego. But there's a difference between being a slave in this prison and being able to walk out freely anytime you wish. These things keep you in ignorance, and they keep you from clarity. And when you're living in ignorance, in darkness, you don't have an accurate representation of the world. The free are not attached. Well, non-attachment literally means freedom. You're not attached to beliefs. You're not attached to your thoughts. You're not attached to your ego identity. So you're not bound by them. They can be there, but you can walk away at any time you wish. This is why Socrates was wise when he said, all I know is I know nothing. Because when you say, I know, you cut yourself off from the truth. And when you say, I don't know, you open yourself up. You're not attached to your beliefs. You're adaptable. You're able to change yourself, change your mind, change your thoughts, change the way you see the world. Because here, it's like you continue to get stuck in this concrete box. But when you're adaptable, you're fluid. And the reason this is so important is because it allows you to recognize where you are going wrong. It becomes a top priority to see, where are my blind spots? I have to adapt to my reality. And if I don't, bad things. So let me focus on what are my weaknesses and what are my strengths? What areas of my life can I improve on? Because the fools are prideful, which is the nature of the ego. They cannot adapt because they don't think they're doing anything wrong. They're the best. But when you are humble, you are able to kill the old version of yourself that's keeping you from everything you desire. Because this is how the whole process goes. There is you, and you're trying to live a life that you want, whatever that means. But you will always be the bottleneck to your experiences. Whether in relationships, whether about money and business, whether about health, you will always be the limiting factor. Because reality is being filtered through you. If you're living in ignorance, your world will be shrouded in darkness. But when you're living in truth, everything becomes clear. What to do next becomes obvious. And if you think about it, it's a lot more difficult to get what you want when you're living in darkness. But it's very easy to get what you want when you're living in clarity. I mean, think about it. If you want to start a business that is successful, there's a billion ways to do it wrong and only a few ways to do it right. So you can spend an entire lifetime failing. And if you don't adapt and you don't learn, nothing good comes out of it. Now, if you fail and you learn because you're growing, that's okay. It's all part of the process. But the fact is that your outer experiences are there for you to evolve yourself. As the teacher Myron Golden has said, you see, when life is not working out for you, it's because life is working on you. It's all about you. What you want is irrelevant. What you do to get what you want is irrelevant. The techniques are irrelevant. If you just cut out all of the distractions and focus on you, optimizing yourself, finding clarity, becoming the best version of you, everything else will take care of itself. But we spend lifetimes in the world, kind of just trying to feel around, trying to figure things out. But you'll save yourself a lot of time and misery simply by working on yourself. Because the problems you experience in the world are a reflection of you. And the moment you work on yourself and heal whatever it is that is creating the problems go away. And at the end of the day, the problems are not there for you to fix. The problems are there for you to work on yourself. It's not about the destination. It's almost not even about the journey. It's about who you become on the journey. It's all about spiritual growth, growing your character. And the moment you become the version of you that deserves what you desire, well, then everything comes to you effortlessly. But what do? We don't deserve what we want, so we try to force it. And then we get frustrated when we don't get what we want. We want what we want. And so the secret is, I promise you, if you just remember this, it'll save you years. Because most people just do to get. That is ego. I want something, so I'm going to work hard to get it. Not a bad thing. It's just another flavor of life, being a slave. And then when you finally become free, there's relief. But you don't have to do this. You can focus on this side of the equation. Don't do to have, do to be. Because think about in the manifestation circles. I want this dream reality, so I'm going to do the latest technique to get it. And this is why people will sometimes ruin their lives. It's like winning the lottery. You got something you didn't deserve, so it ruined your life. You return to the default, always. You can manifest your dream partner. But if you're not right within, you're going to sabotage it all. You'll be worse off afterwards. Same thing with money. Manifest $1 million, why don't you? If you still have an identity of lack and scarcity, it's going to all be drained and you're going to waste it. The moment you optimize this, everything else takes care of itself. You actually deserve what you want. And so it comes to you effortlessly. But if you don't deserve it, it doesn't matter. You can bend reality to your will, and reality is going to slap you back. Promise you that. Not because it's being mean. It's because everything returns to balance, returns to equilibrium. And what you did was you created imbalance in your life. A mismatch, let's say, of energies. Let's use the equation again. Let's pretend this result is $1 million. The input that you needed was 3, but you forced reality and put 8 instead. So you created imbalance. And so eventually life is going to fix the equation. So you temporarily get this result. But then life says, oh no, this is wrong. This is not right. Who did this? Broke. This is not a great example, but maybe you can get the idea. If the input is not equal to the output will change. If who you are is not aligned with what you desire, because you force reality to be the way you want it to, reality will bend back into place and adjust to match your energy, to match this. And this is why you see, well, some people spend their whole lives working really hard and struggling because they're stuck on the slave side of the equation. They don't realize that they are the root of the problem. They never think to fix themselves. So you just spend your whole time putting out fires, struggling, hamster wheel, rat race, barely making ends meet. Or in relationships, you hop from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next. Every single one fails because this. And so once you have clarity, which means you understand, generally speaking, the nature of reality, how things work, because things align to your expectations, what happens is now you have more accurate information in which to act. So you engage in better decisions that lead you to a more positive life. But the less clarity you have, the more you think reality is one way, then reality says, nope, not this way. You will act in ways that create a negative result. So it doesn't matter about the techniques, the visualizations, the positive affirmations. These things are okay once you optimize yourself, because until this is taken care of, nothing else matters. And well, you could see in the manifestation community, a lot of people are drawn into it because they're lazy. They don't actually want to do the work. But it's not hard work, it's just change. In fact, it's the most interesting thing you could ever do. To embark on a journey of self-discovery. Learn, why are you the way you are? Tell me this. What is wrong with you? And you see, the next step for you in your life is to recognize a problem that you are experiencing. Could be any problem in any area of life. And then you ask yourself, what is it about me that is creating this problem? And you begin to search with curiosity. Where am I imbalanced? Where am I attached to certain energy? Where am I living in darkness? You try to find your blind spots. And the moment you see what is wrong, now you can fix it. Because until you realize what the problem is, there's not really all that much you can do about it. And then what happens is that the problem fixes itself on its own. That is the more introverted way of approaching life. You see your problems, you say, what is wrong with me? The more extroverted path is, okay, you go to try and deal with the problem, but you don't do it to fix the problem. You do it to work on yourself. The work will work on you. But at the end of the day, it's all the same. You're always looking back, reflecting on yourself, and saying, how can I be better? And you don't need to enslave yourself. This should be a natural and fun unfolding process. Because going down this path will grip your attention. It will be the most interesting thing to you. And you'll see, you'll make these quantum leaps throughout your life. All it takes is fixing one little problem, one little adjustment, and then bam, you explode in a good way. Because we have all of these tiny little things that are holding us back. And one by one, you start looking at them, looking for them, taking them out, and then a little bit of relief. You become a little bit more open. And the more open you are, the more you can receive. So don't think of this as like, oh, I gotta work really hard to fix myself. I'm such a bad person, I gotta do better. No, just enjoy the process of working on yourself as if you were a marble block and the sculptor. There is a beautiful statue to be unveiled, my friend. All you have to do is begin chipping away the pieces, and you'll see a beautiful life will unfold for you. And everything you desire will come to you naturally. And you won't have to struggle all that much anymore. I am Ray, and if you feel stuck, lost, and you don't know what to do moving forward, you can always come talk to me. I'm here. And if you'd like closer communication with me and others in this community, it's free. Come on. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be.